Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode in my survival prepping series. Today, we're going to be talking about dehydrating. And more specifically, we're going to be talking about some of the best foods to dehydrate. Dehydrating is an age old technique that not only enhances the food's shelf life, but will also concentrate its flavor and its nutritional value. So, whether you are an outdoor enthusiast, a home cook, or someone looking to minimize food waste, knowing which foods dehydrate best is essential. In this video, we're going to explore a range of different foods that lend themselves exceptionally well to the dehydration process, resulting in delicious and nutrient-dense snacks or ingredients for various culinary endeavors. So the first thing we'll talk about is fruit. Dehydrated fruits are a very popular choice for their natural sweetness and the portability. Apples, bananas, berries, mangoes, pineapples are all among the best candidates. The dehydration process intensifies the natural sugars, and this results in a sweet and chewy snack that retains much of its original flavor and nutritional content. Dried fruit is not only great for snacking, but can also be incorporated into cereals, baking, trail mixes. It's very good to add to your oatmeal. I use like dehydrated blueberries a lot in my oatmeal. I'll sprinkle some in, and then when you add the water and you heat it up, it will rehydrate your blueberries so they're not dehydrated anymore as much. And it's very, very good. One nice thing about doing fruit versus vegetables is vegetables, when you're dehydrating them, they get rock hard so that they are literally crispy. Fruit doesn't get that way. Fruit will still remain chewy and soft. It'll basically turn into a gummy is what you'll be making. But it is a natural gummy made only with the fruit and only using the natural sugar from the fruit. But it will be sweet, delicious, and just wonderful. One thing I will tell you about fruit is it takes a lot longer to dehydrate fruit than it does vegetables. Vegetables, you can go anywhere from, if you're doing something like spinach, like 4 hours, all the way up to like corn and potatoes and stuff like that take a lot longer. You can do those 8 to 12 hours, depending on what it is. Fruit, you're talking a couple days probably. You're talking at least 20 hours, sometimes 2 or 3 days, depending on the fruit. It does take a lot longer to dehydrate fruit because it is a lot juicier. There's a lot more liquid that needs to be sucked out of there. So the next thing we'll talk about is vegetables. Vegetables can be transformed into crunchy, nutrient-packed snacks through dehydration. Bell peppers, tomatoes, carrots, zucchini, corn, green beans, they're all excellent choices. Dehydrated vegetables can be rehydrated for soups, stews, or casseroles, providing a burst of flavor and nutritional value to your dishes. Another really, really cool way to use dehydrated vegetables is once you dehydrate them and they're rock hard, you put them in like a coffee grinder or spice grinder, and you grind them up into powder. You can then take that powder and you can mix like a 1/3 to 2/3 ratio with flour to make different bread. It's very, very cool. So zucchini is used a lot to make zucchini bread, but you can do it with pretty much any vegetable. It just varies the amount of flour you have to use. And that's a good way to use up some of that vegetable and to kind of stretch your flour longer too in a prepping situation. The next thing we'll talk about is herbs and spices. Fresh herbs can be dehydrated to preserve their flavors for extended use. Basil, oregano, thyme, and rosemary dehydrate very well, retaining their aromatic and savory qualities. Additionally, consider dehydrating citrus peels or ginger for adding zesty or spicy flavors to your culinary creations. Herbs and spices are nice because, as a general rule, they dehydrate much quicker than vegetables and fruit. I was talking earlier about spinach. That's not exactly an herb or a spice, but it's a good example because it's a leaf. And I mean, literally 3 or 4 hours and it is crispy done and it crumbles up nice. So it doesn't take very long to dehydrate your herbs and spices. The next thing we'll talk about is meat. Dehydrating meat makes for a lightweight, protein-packed snack, ideal for camping or hiking. Beef, turkey, chicken, and even fish can be thinly sliced and dehydrated to create jerky. Properly dehydrated meats can be stored for an extended period without compromising flavor or nutritional value. Now, one thing I will warn you about with meat, fat equals spoil, okay? You don't want fat on your meat when you're dehydrating it. It will cause it to go rancid much faster. So what you want to do with your meat is you want to trim away as much of the fat as humanly possible. You want to get every bit of that out you can. And then you want to dehydrate it until it's nice and crispy. If you're going to do something like hamburger, which is like a 70-30, 80-20 fat to meat mix, that's a little bit more difficult to get that out. But what you do is you go ahead and you fry the hamburger first, like you're making a spaghetti or hamburger helper or something like that. You fry it up and you take all of that fat that is rendered down into the pan and you drain all that off. You want to put that through like a colander and you want to lay it out and paper towel dry it. Get as much of that fat off as you can before you actually dehydrate it. If you do it properly and you get rid of the majority of the fat, your meat that you have dehydrated can last up to 2 years on the shelf without having to worry about it spoiling. But once again, any fat you have in there is going to cause it to spoil faster. So how long it lasts is highly dependent on what kind of job you do in getting the fat out of that meat. Next thing we'll talk about is nuts and seeds. Nuts and seeds such as almonds, walnuts, pumpkin seeds, and sunflower seeds are excellent candidates for dehydration. The process enhances their natural crunch and concentrates their flavors. Dehydrated nuts and seeds are not only delicious snacks, but also versatile ingredients in salads, granolas, or as toppings for yogurt. The next thing we'll talk about is dairy. And this is one that some people don't realize you can dehydrate. A lot of people don't think that you can dehydrate dairy, but you actually can. Dairy products like yogurt or cheese can be dehydrated to create innovative snacks. Yogurt can be transformed into yogurt bites, while cheese can be dried and crumbled for toppings or trail mix. Dehydrated dairy products retain their rich flavor and can be reconstituted when needed. Everybody's heard of powdered milk. That's one great example of this, where they take milk, they put it on a fruit roll-up tray, and they dehydrate it until it's crispy, until it's completely dry, and then they powder it using the process I described earlier, where you just grind it up into a powder. Sometimes when you're doing a liquid, you're going to need to, once you powder it, you might want to put that powder back in your dehydrator for a couple more hours and make sure it's good and bone dry so it stays good. Next thing we'll talk about is grains and pasta. Cooked grains like rice, quinoa, or pasta can be dehydrated for quick and convenient meal prep. Dehydrated grains rehydrate easily with boiling water, making them ideal for backpacking or camping trips. This preservation method ensures that these staples remain lightweight and retain their original textures. And this is one that probably everybody knows because everybody has bought rice in the store and dried pasta, to make spaghetti at home. So everybody kind of knows that this exists. Beans, another great example of something that you can dehydrate and it'll last a long, long time. And then you can just rehydrate it by making it in a crock pot or something like that, and it works wonderfully. So in conclusion, dehydrating food is a practical and rewarding way to preserve their flavors and nutritional benefits. Whether you're creating on-the-go snacks, enhancing the shelf life of fresh produce, or preparing for outdoor adventures, the process of dehydrating food opens up a world of possibilities. By selecting the right foods and mastering the dehydration techniques, individuals can enjoy a diverse range of delicious and nutrient-dense options for every occasion. And I want to repeat something that I've said many, many times over the years. There is no security without food security. The process of dehydrating your food gives you food security because you can create shelf-stable stockpiles of food that will last, in some cases, if done correctly, longer than you will. There's cases of people opening stuff up that they have dehydrated and properly stored away with oxygen absorbers and everything 20, 30 years ago. And it's still good to eat. So you can invest a little bit of time and a little bit of money every week and do a round or two of dehydrating on the weekend. And you can build up a substantial emergency food supply for your family so that no matter what happens, you're going to have food to eat. And that gives you a peace of mind that just can't be beat. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know down in the comments section what you think. And as always, up to you to make up your own mind. And I'll catch you on the next one. Till I speak to you again, love many, trust few, and do harm to none. God loves you, and so do I. Bye-bye.